Howdy and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to share with y'all some information regarding on dealing with the aftermath and dealing with law enforcement after a self-defense shooting. This information is gathered from Massad. Massad is one of the most renowned firearms subject matter experts in the country. Before we start, I want to tell you this: the first officer arriving on the scene has the duty and the obligation to collect as much information as he can. Also note that it is his responsibility to make that scene safe. So there is a potential for you to be handcuffed, arrested, and disarmed. So just note that it is their responsibility, and they have a legal right to do so. So the first thing that we need to do after a self-defense shooting, you need to be the one to call the police. You need to be the one to make that phone call. Why? Because you were the one that saw what happened before, during, and after. So you do not want to let somebody call anyone on your behalf. Number one, you need to describe who you are. Tell them what happened, such as I was attacked. Describe the assailant, so it matches the description of a person that is, you know, this tall and this race, and this is the color of clothes that they're wearing. Also need to tell them, hey, you need to send an ambulance. That lets them know that they need to send medical care right away. Please note that if you do need medical care, the medical care does not come on scene until the police officers tell the EMTs and the paramedics that the scene is safe. So that's another good reason why we need to keep some medical on us. And then last but not least, once you have given them that information, so you've described yourself, you've described the situation, hey, I was attacked, you've given them your location, so I'm at 1234 Main Street at the local Stop and Rob. You've described the attacker, you told them to send an ambulance. The next thing that you need to do is just go ahead and hang up. One of the reasons why we do that is because all calls to police dispatch are recorded. So if you stay on the line or keep that phone going, that is going to be recorded and could potentially get played back. Remember, you've just had probably one of the most traumatic experiences that you've ever had, a huge adrenaline dump. You're not probably in the right state of mind. So after you've given those things to the dispatcher, it's probably best just to go ahead and hang up. Now, why do we do that? So we have to realize that police arriving on the scene don't have a clear picture of what's going on. So we want to do the best job of giving them a clear picture. So you've given them all that information, police arriving on the scene, they show up. You need to be the welcoming party. So you need to be there with your hands up. Officer, thank you so much. I'm the one who called you. We need to establish the active dynamic. We need to tell the police what has just happened. Whether it's officer, I was attacked, or officer, my child was attacked, that is the person that attacked my child. We need to let the officer know what happened. Next thing you need to do is you need to tell the officer that I will sign the complaint. That's kind of universal code. You are speaking the officer's language, and you're also reaffirming step number one, that you were the one that was being attacked. Next, what we need to do is we need to point out evidence. Why do we do this? Evidence can disappear. Whether it's you're outside, the shooting was outside and there's a huge windstorm, brass can roll off. If you've ever been to a range and you come home and you realize that you've got some brass in your pocket or on the bottom of your shoes, 9 and 40 can easily get stuck up underneath the tread. Or let's go back to the 1986 shooting in Miami. They asked a bunch of witnesses. They tried to figure out how many rounds were shot during that fateful day. Nobody could give a solid answer. It was one of the largest crime scenes that they had ever dealt with. And actually witnesses said that they recall seeing people pick up pieces of brass on the ground for souvenirs. So we need to point out evidence because evidence can disappear. So we need to say, hey, officer, there's some brass casings right there. There's some brass casings right there. There's some brass casings right there. That's the gun that he used, that he tried to shoot me with. That's the knife that he used. He threw it over there. And yes, Perpetrators throwing weapons is actually very common. It's kind of one of their last ditch efforts to basically admitting defeat. They're not used to somebody turning the tables on them. So when that happens, they typically throw that weapon away and they try to start to play the victim on that one. Next, we need to point out the witnesses. Officer, this person in the blue shirt saw what happened. Officer, this lady in the green dress saw what happened. We need to point out those witnesses so they can kind of help corroborate your story. The last thing that you need to say is we need to invoke our Fifth Amendment. So you need to tell the officers, I'm more than willing to cooperate in this investigation after I have spoken with my counsel. You got to remember, like I said at the beginning of the video, you just had an adrenaline dump. For me, what an adrenaline dump means is I get hyper focused, so I get tunnel vision, I get auditory exclusion, and then time slows down significantly. So a lot of times you need to wait, and your lawyer will probably tell you to wait at least one sleep cycle. A lot of times people are recommending at least 48 to 72 hours before you start talking about the event, because that's how long it takes for that adrenaline cocktail to wear off. Like I said before, tunnel vision makes people seem bigger than they are. Like I said, with me, time slows down. So what could seem like a minute was actually 10 seconds. If you are actively giving information after a shooting, you might not be in the right mind. And if that information is given, that can be used against you. So we need to take that time. Officer, be more than happy to cooperate after I've spoken with my counsel. And then guys, we need to take some time, at least one sleep cycle, for that adrenaline cocktail to wear off so that we can kind of think about what really happened. I thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this information has been helpful for y'all. It's some of the stuff that I teach my students in the LTC class. And thanks to Massad Ayub for putting this information together. Like I said, if y'all are unfamiliar with Massad, please go look him up and read as much of his information as he can. I consider him one of the OGs of the gun culture. Massad is in his later years. I believe he's in his 70s now, so I don't know how much longer he's going to be teaching and instructing. So as much information as we can get from him now while he's still alive, that guy's just got a treasure trove of information. We need to absorb it as much as we can. I thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks.